Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is really good. I told you guys, I told you in a video on this channel months ago when I did a preview. A lot of you guys didn't want to hear it. I get it. I was pretty skeptical too, but this game makes so much sense. It's a throwback to original Prince of Persia, 2D Prince of Persia. It's a throwback to Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. And it's just a fun video game time. That's it. That's like the long and short of it. It's fun. That's what I care about. And I want to chat about it for a little bit. This is what I do here. So on Game Ranks, I do the before you buy big review video. And then if I like a game enough, or if I have something else to say about it, I come over here and talk about some of the best elements of it. And with Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, it's significant for me because I've loved the Prince of Persia series for a long time. I know a lot of people have. People have come into it in different periods because it became a huge franchise for a while. But for me, my entry point was Sands of Time. I've mentioned this before, but like Sands of Time is one of my favorites. So going into this, where it's like a completely different thing, and it is totally different. Like it's like this own new world. It's centered around Persian mythology and all. It has all these like fantasy elements and cool creatures and magic. It's all rooted in Persian mythos from like the very little I know of it, and like some of it I Googled. But like it takes it and makes it cool and video gamey, and you're one of these immortal guys, these kind of like demigods that are like badass supernatural fighters, and you're not the Prince of Persia, which is an interesting choice. It does some things with it that I won't spoil. I'm not going to spoil anything in this video, really. But a lot of that stuff doesn't really matter. I hate to say it, because what this boils down to is just like a fun Metroidvania style game. And it's interesting, right? Like I don't think like the world is starving for more Metroidvania style games. But with this one, harkening back to the old days of Prince of Persia, I think it makes sense. But the biggest thing is, for me, what I really loved about it the most is the movement, the controls, everything about it. And I said this in the before you buy, I apologize, but like it is buttery smooth and responsive, and most importantly, fun to control. The way you run, dash, duck, dive, jump, magic your way through these environments is so addictive. I love Metroidvania sometimes where I'm totally stuck on how to progress forward, and then I have to kind of move around and clear out the whole map and find little hidden nooks and crannies to find the thing that'll help me progress. But it's even better in a game like this when it controls this well, and it's so much fun because I love just cruising through the areas, the environments, sliding, dodging, ducking, everything, just going through, blasting through, taking out enemies because it's so smooth. The movement and stuff in terms of how responsive it is, how quickly you can slide, jump, slam down, dash forward, feels like Dead Cells. That's a tall order. I fucking love Dead Cells, right? So I wouldn't say the game is as good as Dead Cells. I think Dead Cells was my #1 the year it released, but it has some of that smooth and strong, sturdy movements that are just easy to do, pull off, calculate. Like when you really get into the flow of things, you're going to be cruising through areas, and that is so satisfying. Couple that with some combat that is also pretty satisfying. It's got a really responsive and like feedback rich parry. When you get the parry right, it's like fucking, and there's a big sound and a flash. It feels really good. And then there's these like special parries when the enemy does a yellow attack, which they're like more vulnerable for it. So then you do that, and then you get this cool, quick cutscene, like in-game scene of an instant kill. So when you get a lot of those enemies' attacks figured out, you can just be running and dashing and speeding through environments. And here comes the enemy you've dealt a million times. You boom, one hit kill him and keep going, and you get that cool little animation. And it's just, it feels really good. Gameplay and structure-wise, my only complaint really is that some of the bosses have some moves that are total bullshit, but the sense of discovery is good, right? There's a lot of stuff you can find and hidden nooks and crannies to better your character. But towards the second half, the last third of the game, I had found most of the stuff I really liked in terms of like equipable amulets that give you more stats and buffs and things like that, and your charged super attacks. Like I found the ones I liked, so when I was discovering new areas and like exploring the edges of the map and collecting more, I wasn't that excited about it. Like I found a new thing and I was like, that's cool, but I already have this other thing equipped that's way better. So that is a weak point, but I didn't really care because I still wanted to completely uncover that entire map. So it wasn't about like finding that crate or that chest behind a whole like gauntlet of booby traps that was totally secret previously. No, it's more about the journey than the destination, you know? And again, I think that's a testament to how much fun I found a lot of this stuff. That's what really hit with me, man. When you were like going through, and this is when I played the demo or a demo at a press event like months ago when I talked about it, is like once I went through a room and I did the Prince of Persia booby trap dodging, like spike pits, swinging axes, like doing all those things and getting the sequence right and nailing it perfectly and wall jumping and all that shit, I was like, ooh, this is good. This is Prince of Persia. It feels right. Also, in terms of movements, I wanted to say this earlier, I'm sorry, but like this game has one of the best feeling backflips in a game, a smooth backflip that you can pull off at any point if you just move the direction backwards and jump. Whoosh. There's a really good, like, whooshy, smooth backflip that I do more just to show off. Who am I showing off to? I guess my dog. I don't know. I'm just showing off. I'm flexing on myself. But another thing I like about the game is that it's challenging. The bosses are very challenging. All the enemy types that are pretty consistently well-paced and introduced are really challenging. There's a lot of accessibility options and things you can equip to make it easier on yourself to really kind of get that right level. But if you want a challenge, the game will happily kick your ass. I had some pretty big struggles with some of the bosses. Then again, I'm not very good at games. I always mention like I am not like a super sweaty. Like despite playing games all my life, like games just beat my ass. And Prince of Persia definitely did. So if you come for that type of thing, you can absolutely get it here. But I like the enemies because the way it's all paced, right? The way the abilities work out and the way new enemies and environmental factors show up. It just makes it like consistently like, ooh, a new exciting thing. Ooh, a new exciting thing. So pacing wise for a Metroidvania, I found it really good. The only thing pacing wise is really the story that is a bummer. Like a lot of the voice acting and the story itself didn't do it for me personally. I think for some people it might hit. Sargon is a cool character. He looks cool. He sounds cool. The animations when he does stuff, it's so anime inspired. He basically goes Super Saiyan. He'll fly at the screen. The camera will, like all those anime visual tricks that you've seen are used in this game. And it makes Sargon really cool. But he's pretty simple as a character. And everybody really is. The game does do some interesting things, again, that I won't spoil. One of them is kind of a bold choice. It also deals with a lot of time stuff. It's a modern Prince of Persia game, so it's going to deal with time. And it has some creative ideas here and there that I think would have actually been stronger or landed harder if the game did a better job like really fleshing out the characters and like the emotion and the world. Because there are some good ideas there. And this is really hard to talk. It's hard to talk about it without spoiling, but the gameplay and everything was so satisfying and so fun that it didn't really matter too much, that I didn't really care too much about the actual story of the adventure. I liked seeing the world. I liked seeing the characters and the creatures, but it didn't really do it for me. But again, I just keep coming back to the word fun. It's kind of why I started this thing. I love the word fun. Fun factor in game reviews is important. And yeah, I do know that some people will scoff at like a full price, or this is like a $50 US game for a 2D Metroidvania. I know some people just think those should be priced lower. Whatever, however you feel about hours to ratio to time to cost you spend on your games, I think this is worth a play at some point whenever you can, because I really liked it. I liked it way more than I thought. I even ended up I made that preview video a while back and I still ended up liking it more. I was surprised just how well the momentum was sustained throughout the game. And that's saying something. So I definitely am going to try and keep this one in my head throughout the entire year because it's January. The year just started, but I'm glad there's just something cool and simple and fun. Not to mention the fact that I really want to see, is the sun out now? Fucker. I really need curtains in here. I need to put up like a thing, the lights coming in. New office setup still. I do really want to dive into where the franchise could go now, because the Prince of Persia series kind of, I think, finds itself at a weird spot, because we have the Sands of Time remake, which was revealed It didn't look too hot, and then they kind of went back to the drawing board with it. We know that they're still working on it. There's been some change-ups, but we're probably not going to see that anytime soon. And that was really all there was for Prince of Persia, was just a remake of the first game. That's not like a massive thing that pushes things forward. So we have this Lost Crown game, which I feel like was maybe a little bit of a smaller initiative within Ubisoft, but feels like the most un-Ubisoft thing. This is a fresh thing. They did great here. So to be honest, I would like to see this formula continue with Prince of Persia. I know a lot of people are going to want a big, flashy, new third-person action-adventure Prince of Persia game. But if Ubisoft just isn't interested in that, or like they just don't think that enough people are going to buy something like that they dump a $1 billion budget into, if they make Prince of Persia games like this, I'll take what I can get, man. If they do a game like this where you are the prince, you're doing your thing, I would love to see that, because this gameplay formula, this gameplay style, the movement, the buttery smoothness of all of it, I just want more. There's a lot of creativity, like to the boss designs, the level designs, the way the movements, the way your powers and abilities work, to the point where like some of the puzzles broke my brain. I'm too stupid. But the way all of that stuff is so well thought out here, I would love to see the team that made this game go on and make more Prince of Persia 2D adventures. Maybe we get a reimagining of the very first original Jordan Mechner joint from back in the day. That would be really cool. So like, I'm just saying, like, I know people want like the Warrior Within 2 or Two Thrones 2 or something like that. If the reality is that the hard truth is that we're not getting anything like that again, I'll take this. Because I mean, think about it this way. Sands of Time, Warrior Within, Two Thrones. After that, things got kind of like fuzzy and muddled, right? Ubisoft tried a bunch of different ways to get Prince of Persia going, do Prince of Persia projects. I mean, even Assassin's Creed started as a Prince of Persia concept, spin-off, what have you. So Ubisoft has been trying so many different things for Prince of Persia, how to get it out there as an IP or whatever you want to call it. And more, I guess it hasn't really stuck for them. So I'm glad that this is a thing, and I hope that this can spark something. Because, you know, like I said, it was like we were just getting a remake of Sands of Time and that was it. But this excites me. This excites me way more than a remake of a game I already know I love. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with this one. That's some of the best stuff about it. The only other thing I would say is that there is a demo available, and I love when demos are out. It makes my job easier. It makes, you know, people thinking about buying games, it makes their life easier. And I think we should commend developers and publishers for doing that when they can, because we used to have a lot more demos. Now they're few and far between. And every person I've spoken to or seen online that jumped into the Prince of Persia Lost Crown demo was like, oh shit, this is cool. So that's good. Demos are working. But again, that's where I'm at. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments. I'm putting this out a little bit before the game actually releases. But if you played the demo, I'd love to hear what you're thinking. I would really love to hear your whole history with Prince of Persia. Are you back from the old days? Are you somewhere in the middle? Did you like that weird one where like Nolan North voiced the prince? That happened, right? Did I imagine that? Did I hallucinate that? Let's talk about Prince of Persia. Seriously, let's talk about the Jake Gyllenhaal Prince of Persia. I don't care. Let's talk in the comments. I want to hear from you guys. But thank you for listening to me ramble over here. If you get what I'm trying to do, just talking about stuff I love. Clicking the like button helps me. Thank you. But have a great day. I'm Jake Baldino. See you guys next time. Subscribe because video games. Pizza's on me.